It was December 1971. The Pakistani Air Force was smothered into oblivion by the Indian Air Force, leaving no trace of its former existence. Pakistan cried for help as it found itself losing the war against India. India's aim was to liberate Bangladesh from Pakistan dominance, and it was getting success in doing so. Pakistan's cry was heard by the United States. On December 8, President Richard Nixon directed Task Force 74, which was part of its Navy's 7th Fleet, to advance towards Bay of Bengal. The US battle group contained the world's largest nuclear-powered aircraft carrier of that time. It had 70 fighter jets and bombers on it, which had all the strength to endanger India's gain on the battlefield. From one side, the US was coming close, and from the Arabian Sea side, the UK's aircraft carrier HMS Eagle was surrounding India. Indian Navy was encircled from both the sides. India needed help, and thus it turned towards Moscow and asked for help. Without a moment of hesitation, Russia nodded yes. It dispatched its nuclear-armed fleet, which had an array of destroyers, frigates and submarines, equipped with anti-ship missiles. And when US intelligence get to know that Russians are coming, do you know what they did? They retreated back. The US task force halted its advance, and the UK's aircraft retreated towards the Madagascar. It's a 50-year-old story, but this tale of friendship is still fresh as a daisy in India's mind and heart. In the year 2022, when the West tried to isolate Russia, India stood with it. Despite all the pressure, India engaged with Russia and continued to do business, even though the West was every day criticizing and warning India for it. As a result, regardless of so many sanctions on Russia, it emerged as a high-income country and its economy grew by 4%. So this India-Russia friendship is time-tested. In this video, we'll see in which direction Indo-Russian friendship is moving and what are some challenges it is facing. Let's get into it. The Indian Prime Minister is on a visit to Russia. It's a 2-day trip, after which he will travel to Austria. PM Modi's first time visiting Russia since the Ukraine war. His last visit to Russia was in 2019. This is the first bilateral visit of PM Modi in his third term as a Prime Minister. What is the strategic importance of this visit? To know that, let's open the map. This is the Arctic region of Russia, covered with snow and very low in population. You might ask, why is this important? You see, this region is expected to be rich in oil, gas and rare earth elements. And due to global warming, the ice around this region is melting. Now Russia alone cannot explore the whole region. It would be very costly. So it wants investment from other players. And as India is a developing country, India is energy hungry and our energy need is going to increase in the future. Therefore, India is interested in exploring the region. And to safeguard its interest in the region, it is expected that India and Russia are going to sign a security pact. The name of this pact is Russia-India Trade Reciprocal Exchange of Logistic Agreement. As the name is suggesting, there would be some kind of logistic transfer involved here. Any guesses what logistics we are talking about? Drop down what you guessed. So I'm assuming you have wrote down what you have guessed in the comments. If you have not, then you should. Okay, jokes aside. This pact would open India's access to Russian naval ports. India would be able to dock its ships, its submarines in these bases. And this would allow India to safeguard its investment in the future. China's presence in the region is also increasing. So it would be a good balance act for Russia if Indian presence is strong in the Arctic. This pact would also allow the Russians to use bases in the Indian Ocean, which would balance the increasing United States presence in the region. So this is the importance of this pact. Mind you, India has also signed a similar pact with the USA, which is called LEMUA. So it was high time to have a pact with Russia, and it makes more sense. You might be screaming, how it makes more sense, Raj? Okay, cool down. Let me tell you how. This chart says a story. And what story is that? This is a chart which tells from which country India imports its weapons from. And tada, it's Russia. India imports more than half of its weapon from Russia. For example, there's 400 air defense system, the Sukhoi fighter jets, MiG-29 fighter jets, and so on. Also, India and Russia jointly produces the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. Clearly, India uses a lot of Russian platforms. So wouldn't it be more logical to have an logistic pact with Russia? See, I told you, it makes more sense. Remember in the starting of this video, I told you how India stood with Russia against the US sanctions? So I think now you can guess. Even if India wants to follow Western sanction, it simply can't, because it's too much dependent on Russia for the maintenance and spare parts of its defense industry. But does India really want to follow the Western sanctions? Clearly not. India has far deeper ties with Russia, and it won't ruin these ties for some mere sanctions. And if you don't believe me, do you want to see how much India cares about US sanctions? This much. You see the long blue bar in this graph. This is Russian exports to India. Note the year. The year is 2022 and 2023. The trade, which was less than $10 billion from the last 5 years, suddenly increased to $50 billion. This is how much India cares about US sanctions. It cares so much that Russia became the 4th biggest trading partner of India. Before the sanctions, Russia was not even in the top 20 list of the biggest trading partners of India. But now, the partnership is strong as a rock. And boy, Indian and Russians are not stopping at this. Why? What have they done more? For the first time in history, Russia has sent its coal shipment to India using the International North-South Transport Corridor. A train corridor? Raj, what's so great about a train corridor? To know that, first you have to like and subscribe. I hope you have liked and subscribed, my friends. So, let's get back to the corridor. See this red line? Compare it with the blue line. Isn't the blue line much longer? Yes, it is. The blue line is the standard route. The route which is mostly used for India-Russia trade. The shipment transfer time in this route is about 45 days. But using the INSTC corridor, the travel time gets reduced by half. Using this corridor, it takes only 23 days. Isn't that great? It saves so much time. Also, it is great for Russia. Because using this corridor, Russia won't face any restrictions, which it faces sometime in the sea route. For India, it is great because it can counter against the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. I think now it should be very clear why this train route is so important. So that's why this visit of PM Modi is very strategic. And to solidify India's energy and security needs, this visit is important. In the end, your like, subscribe or comments are strategically important for me. So it would be great if you can do these. Until then, this is Raj, signing off.